What is up, party peoples? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of BrassReel Tonight. Not a lot going on in the world of news today. We got some stuff to talk about. I got a little bit more of a personal discussion to talk about based on a question that a buddy of mine asked me. And I was like, you know what? I think that's a good thing that I could dive into for a little bit on the show. But not really anything big being released this weekend. I'm not really excited about a ton of stuff coming out this weekend. There is a lot of stuff coming out this summer I'm excited about, but there are some cool things to talk about today. How are you guys doing? Life treating you well? I hope so. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscriber button. Help us get to the top like always. Also hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, if you've enjoyed the past videos. And also I want to reiterate to everybody that two things. I'm sure you've seen the times change and go in different directions. I've been trying 7 o'clock. I've been trying 8 o'clock. Forgive me for switching it up. I'm really just trying to figure out two things. One, what works best with other people, but for me, actually, what works best for me. And I'm starting to figure out maybe if I do it at noon, it might be a good idea for the possibility of my 6 fans out there that'll be able to listen to it on their lunch break or be able to listen to it later on that day and it's already out. I feel like it'll give an option for more time to pass the day, for maybe the opportunity for people to watch this when it's relevant, because let's face it, there's news the next day. And I do want people to eventually be able to catch this when it's convenient. So I'm thinking noon is a good time. What do you guys think? If anybody's got some complaints about that, or do you think it's better to do it later in the day? I was trying 5 yesterday and 6, or 5 the day before, 6 yesterday. And I think it just works best for me with my schedule to be able to continue to get a jump on the next day and still be able to do my reviews, which leads me to my next thing. I'm still doing my reviews. I want to let everybody know I'm doing my reviews. And so what I think I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to do Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday on this show on BrassReel Tonight. And then I'm going to save one of those days to work on my reviews. I'm thinking taking off on Friday because that's when a lot of movies are released, and I'm going to be able to put movie reviews out for new movies on Fridays. So it's looking like I'm going to do Monday through Thursday. So this week, maybe not. I'll have to see. I'm still in the air if I'm going to do a show tomorrow or not, but that's just because I'm not sure if there's something I really want to watch tomorrow or tonight at midnight, whatever something is released. So we'll see about all that. But I do think for sure it's going to be either Monday through to Thursday or Tuesday through Friday, but most likely Monday through Thursday. And my reviews, my hot, fresh popcorn, those reviews are still coming. So please keep your eyes out for those. Like I said, I've got it sectioned off differently now on my YouTube page to where you can see all the different sections, and it just shows the availability and it shows what's new in both sections, like my live streams, BrassReel Tonight, and my hot, fresh popcorn movie reviews. And there's way more stuff on there that you can kind of dig into and just see really what we're all about, or what I'm about. So moving on, I just want to, guys, let you know that's kind of my thinking with trying out these new times and maybe doing the Monday through Thursday slot. And as always, I get something in my throat right before I start. We got a little news in the Bat world today. I'll get to that in a minute, but that's why I'm all Batman themed out. I wanted to just get in the spirit, even though I'm not really, it's not like a Batman movie coming out or anything like that, because if that's the case, like when Pattinson comes out, I mean, yeah, that's going to be like a huge celebratory weekend and everything for me. Not just because it's a new Batman, because yeah, I'm going to get excited about that. But Pattinson, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in that movie. I really think that there's a lot to be said. There's all kinds of bad rumors going around now saying that he's getting completely tired of the director now, and that Matt Reeves, and that he's just like, I'll never work with him again. And I think those rumors have pretty much been debunked. Like none of that's true. It was also saying that because he's not the biggest Batman in the world and he's not like super ripped, that he was like not caring about the role and all that stuff. I don't think that's the case. But anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm definitely excited about that. And when that comes along, that's going to be a celebratory thing. But in some quick news, just real quick, things that I'm kind of excited about and you guys might be excited about. Not sure if you ever saw the Friday the 13th, the last Blu-ray collection that came out. I got that one. And I'm going to see if I can show it here. It might be kind of a weird graphic. Let me see. It might just like overlay me. But yeah, there it is. You can see it. But I've got that one. And it's not even showing the two posters that come with it. It's the entire collection of Friday the 13th up to this point, which hopefully one day they'll get out of that stupid ass lawsuit and make something happen. But I've got this one, and this one's the really awesome one. This one's the one that's a little more expensive. It's a little harder to get now. It was limited edition. It has this really cool box. And actually, one of the posters is this box. See how it wraps around on that box? One of the posters is that whole thing. If you can, like, maybe I can put my finger there. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. There we go. Yeah. So, like, underlying that whole thing right there, it's a huge poster. Yeah, that's pretty fun. But they just decided that they're going to release it again in a 4K format, and it's sort of a steelbook Blu-ray. And actually, it may not be 4K. It's just a steelbook Blu-ray. Now, it's much smaller, and I'm cool with this. I mean, I don't know if I'll try to achieve and get this at some point. It is pretty cool that it has these little cover things in there from all the other films. However, I've got the individual Blu-rays, but I'm a Friday the 13th nut. So I'm advertising this because I'm excited about it, even though I own them all on DVD and Blu-ray. I even have a signed copy of Part 7 by Kane Hodder. Yeah. But I'm just a collector. So it's at some point, I'm sure I'll try to acquire this. I don't have the money for it right now by any means, but at some point I'm sure I'll try to acquire it. And I am looking forward, to see what other kind of releases they have, but I'm not sure if they're going to release another box set when they start making more Friday the 13th movies. Cause let's face it, they eventually are going to make more movies. They're definitely going to make more movies at some point. I mean, Friday the 13th is too big of a brand. I don't know if you guys know what's up with the lawsuit of that, but that's a whole video in itself, truly, to talk about that lawsuit. And I mean, I might talk about it at some point. I might discuss it with Ryland or something like that. That's something that he and I could really probably dig into. But it's definitely, we've been waiting for new movies from Friday the 13th for a while. It's been, I mean, think about this. That remake was in 2009. That was a long time ago. So, I mean, it's time. It's been time. We've even had a video game that was awesome, but now has been kaput. The server's kaput on that because of the lawsuit. No more DLC or anything because of the lawsuit. Anyways, I don't want to get wrapped up talking about Friday the 13th. All I really wanted to show y'all was that box set that's coming out, which I'm pretty excited about. Touching on a little bit of Marvel news today. I'm not sure how you pronounce this girl's name, but I think it's Michaela. Michaela, I'm not sure. Forgive me, but I'm going to say Michaela Cole joins Black Panther 2, the cast of it. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not totally familiar with this girl. She's been in some other stuff. Let me see. I'm looking it up right here. And she was in another show that was supposedly pretty big, called I May Destroy You, and it was nominated for an Emmy Award nominated for 9 Primetime Emmy Awards. I May Destroy You. I've never heard anything about it, but she's obviously on her way. And look, this movie is being directed by Ryan Coogler. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ryan Coogler, but he is the man, and he did the first Black Panther and he did Creed. He didn't do part 2. I definitely loved Creed 1 and 2. I thought they were both phenomenal. Creed 1 was better than the second one, but the second Creed, look, it surprised me. I am not going to lie to you. I had no real intentions of thinking that movie was going to be good, because let's face it, it kind of felt like Rocky 4 part 2. I mean, Creed 2, Rocky 4 2. That's what the full title should have been. Creed 2, Rocky 4 2. It's not bad, right? I'm excited about it. Ryan Coogler, I think, is great in Hollywood. I think he's freaking talented as hell. I mean, I don't think that Creed gets enough. I mean, yeah, it got enough credit because Creed 2 came out and they're even doing a Creed 3, which is directed by Michael B. Jordan. It's kind of ironic considering that Rocky 3 was directed by Stallone, written. It was his whole baby. You know, I mean, but Stallone wrote most of the Rockies anyway, just didn't direct them all. But I am excited that Ryan Coogler is got Black Panther 2 coming out, but I do think that Creed is a little better a film than Black Panther. I loved Black Panther and I thought it was great. Nothing wrong with the movie. I don't think that it necessarily deserved the Oscar nomination compared to some of the other Marvel films that are out there. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have been nominated if it would have been like the only one of its kind, but, and let me please like confirm this with y'all completely. I love Black Panther. The MCU is better because Black Panther's in it. The MCU movie catalog is better with his movie being in there, and it will be even better with this second movie. I just don't think that movie was quite deserving of the Oscar nomination compared to other Marvel films. However, I still love it. I think where Ryan Coogler really shined was Creed. Creed was amazing to me, but maybe he can bring some of that heart and emotion that he had in Creed, because Creed, you really felt for Adonis Creed, Michael B. Jordan's character playing Apollo Creed's son. You really, I mean, again, I didn't think they were going to make it work. At first, I thought it was going to be a cash grab, but it was an excellent movie that is up there with all like some of the best Rocky films, in my opinion. So maybe Ryan Coogler can bring some of that heart from Creed and bring some of that comic booky nerdism from Black Panther and combine that with this girl too, joining the cast. And look, we know that Chadwick Boseman's not going to be in there. We know that he's not going to be a part of the franchise anymore because, I mean, RIP, he passed away. The torch has got to be passed somehow. That's just my thinking. I mean, it is, Black Panther will go on. And in the comics, while T'Challa is the most famous of all the interpretations of Black Panther, or he's the most famous character that has helmed or donned the mask of Black Panther, or donned the mantle of Black Panther. But there have been other Black Panthers. So the real unfortunate thing about Chadwick Boseman passing away, excuse me, that's a terrible thing to say. The most unfortunate thing about him passing away is him passing away. But as far as the MCU storylines going forward, one of the things that would have been really great is that in the comics, Storm and Black Panther end up getting married, and they are bringing the X-Men into the MCU. So that would have been really cool to see them get married and get together. And then she becomes the queen of Wakanda. And like a lot of that would have been awesome. Not saying that they can't do something with the multiverse thing. You never know. With this multiverse thing, I think all bets are off. You never know what's going to happen. They could change some sort of timeline from when they get back, T'Challa is someone else and not Chadwick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still T'Challa's character, but it's someone else. He looks different because it's a different universe. Kind of like in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies, the different universes they had in that Into the Spider-Verse film, the animated film, the Spider-Man looked different when they were from different universes, even though they were still Peter Parker. Catch me there? So anyways, that's something that they could do with it. But I'm just hopeful that they get this together. I'm hopeful that it pulls well together with this new person joining the cast of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And Michaela Cole, she's already got Emmy Award nominations, so that's something good. Moving on, still a little bit more Marvel stuff here. Marvel has just announced that they are about to launch their animation studio. Now, we know that they've been in the works to do the What If series, and that What If series is about to come out in August, actually. At least the premiere is. I'm not sure if they're done with every episode, or they might be. Who knows? They might have had a different team working on each one. The animation does look similar throughout, though. And I got to say, it looks like a cool animation. But they're making their own division right here. And going forward, instead of Marvel Studios, which has been making the MCU films, now they have a different branch that's just going to do animated stuff, which tells me they're confident in what they have in What If. Excuse me there, I put up the wrong graphic. They're confident in what they have in What If. And if you're a comic book fan from back in the day, like I am, what ifs were something that you really, really looked forward to, because it takes all this lore that you're familiar with and puts it on an acid trip. And I hate to use it in that way in drug terms, but that's what it does. It takes things and just changes one minor little thing that alters things like massively. Like, for example, they're going to have, what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? Meaning, what if he would have been chosen instead of Peter Quill being chosen at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy? And so he ends up becoming Star-Lord. That would have been cool. You can see the picture here. What if Captain America was Captain Britain? And the Captain Britain would be Peggy Carter. And Peggy Carter, if you remember her, she was Steve's love interest in that. I don't know. Are you guys excited about Marvel Studios' What If? I am. I think it looks amazing. I think the animation looks really original. I don't think that I've seen anything like this animation before. DC has their style of animation, and it worked good for a long time. And there are some DC animated films still to this day that do work. But I got to say, okay, look, 10 years ago, if that would have come out, sorry guys, my battery's down. I didn't realize I didn't have it plugged up. Excuse me. Oh, much better. No wonder things were running slow. Hopefully the whole cast doesn't run slow. Anyways, 10 years ago, if DC would have had their type of animation that was that Batman animated series and stuff like that, it was still working. Now, if they have that animation going on, to me, it just doesn't work anymore. It looks childish. It doesn't look cool. You can tell that with this animation, they've done something a little different here that I feel like that makes it a little more cinematic. They do stuff more with the lighting. Looks like they're going to try to emulate more real life camera angles, cool, flashy camera angles within the animation. So I'm excited about that. I think it's cool. What are you guys excited about? Marvel Studios animated complete their own division. I mean, kind of cool. I wouldn't mind seeing full on animated. I mean, that, if Sony can team up with Marvel to do MCU films, who's to say we can't get MCU animated Marvel films that are Spider-Man and stuff like that? That might be going too far, but maybe not. Maybe that's part of the plan with all this. So what do you guys think? Excited about that? I am. I think Marvel knows what they're doing. Yeah. Do they have a hit and miss sometimes, like situation, and more hit than miss? Occasionally they fall a little short. Yes, I'll give you that. But they never make bad stuff. It's never bad. It's just not as awesome as some of it can be sometimes. But I still love it all. I'm a geek, though. That's part of who I am. I am going to love it all. I even love the bad DC stuff. And it's not that I enjoy that it's bad, but just because it's nerdy stuff, I'm automatically going to like it. Like Rise of Skywalker. That's a terrible movie. A terrible insertion into the Star Wars universe. And look, at first when I saw it in the theaters, I was all pumped up about it. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've rewatched it, it's just got a ton of holes and it just doesn't work. But I still love it because it's Star Wars. And that's just, it's sort of like, if it's Star Wars movie, it kind of just makes it into the cut automatically. And Marvel's kind of like that with me, and so is DC. Comic book movies in general kind of like that with me. Now, there are times where they just completely make something that it's terrible, and they shouldn't have even made it. But most of the time, that's because they don't have the money to make it good, or they just had a bad idea and they made it, that's just a bad overseer of production, sort of like X-Men Dark Phoenix, which isn't as bad as everybody says it is, but it's also not good. But moving on to some other news, Warner Brothers has just released that they will be releasing 10 to 22 films next year straight to HBO Max. And 10 at least. Now, the article I read said 10 to 22 films, depending on how far that goes. Now, this isn't going to mean theaters and HBO Max like they're doing right now. That was a pandemic hybrid attempt to do something new with just movie going in general, because the world didn't know where we stood. As a world, we didn't know where we stood. But now they've seen that they need to get that original content out there more. So not only are they doing TV shows, they're doing movies. Now, not only are they doing 10 to 22 movies next year on HBO Max, but they're also doing the whole release structure differently. So it used to be 75 to 90 days. And it was the window that the theatrical title held. And then it would go to the video. Now, video being either Blu-ray or on demand, and sometimes DVD. And that was like a long little running time. And usually there's like a 30 to 40 or 60-day period when it can only be sold on Blu-ray before it even hits streaming. And when I said on demand, I mean that you can buy the movie on demand. But actual streaming services like Netflix and everything like that, it was a 70 to 90 day, I mean, it was literally almost like 5 months to 6 months after the movie came out before you even saw it on a streaming service. Well, now Warner Brothers is saying that they don't see it that way anymore. They see it changing. That's not the way it's going to be going. And back in the day, 2015, 16, 17 even, they still were doing that whole 75 to 90 day window in the theater, then going for a few months on Blu-ray and on demand, and then going to streaming services. That's not what they're going to be doing going forward now. Now, Warner Brothers says they're shifting to a 45-day window. So what that tells me is they're doing 45 days in the theater. I bet you they're going to do a month on Blu-ray, and then they're going to do back to their streaming service. Now, they're not going to license any of their movies going forward, I don't think. So Warner Brothers has had contracts with Netflix. They've had contracts with Amazon. They've had contracts with Hulu, all these different streaming services to just have their movies on there, license their movies out to be on those services. Now, what they're trying to do is emulate Disney a little bit. And Disney, their whole model is we don't license shit. All of our stuff is our own content. So we do whatever we want with it. And that's what Warner Brothers is trying to get to. And you saw that in the last Space Jam movie. You saw that they had all this stuff that they were trying to put together in one film. Make sure you knew that, like, look, we own these properties and we're going to shove them down your throat together. Look at them all in one movie. I mean, I think that that's cool. And you're not going to, like I said, you're not going to see any movies from Warner Brothers going forward on any other streaming services. Going forward, you might still have some contracts and actions from some of their past movies. But going forward, you're not going to see any other their stuff going out to other services because they're trying to be like Disney. Now, what sucks about that is now you're just having to buy all these different services to get access to all these things, where used to you just had to have a couple services and you still had the access. Now with Warner Brothers and HBO Max being their thing, they're trying to become exclusive like Disney, because at some point going forward, Disney's going to be the same way. You're not going to have any Marvel films on any other streaming platform except on Disney. No Disney movies on any other streaming platform except on Disney. That's just the way it's going to be. And that's the way every network's going to make it. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to take this. I'll get right back with you. Somebody is calling here. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm going to leave you guys with a little song here. I'm going to get right back. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to take that. It seemed like it was something I needed to make sure nothing was wrong, but everything's cool. Everything's all good. So anyways, going back to Warner Brothers and HBO Max, they're trying to create that whole thing like Disney's doing, to where you're just strictly going to have to go to their site to see to their streaming platform to see anything that's made by Warner Brothers. And like I said, Disney's already got that working, and going forward, anything furtherly released will strictly be on Disney if it's made by Disney. Same thing with Warner Brothers, strictly be on HBO Max if it's made by them. You'll still be able to buy it on Blu-ray, things like that, but you're not going to be able to access it on Netflix and things like that. And Netflix going forward at some point will only have Netflix original content, and they're the kings of the original content. They started doing OG content back in the day. So I'm curious as to what this is going to do for Warner Brothers, because one thing that they're going to do, which leads me to my next thing, is they're making a Batgirl movie, and we found our Batgirl. I don't know if you guys have been watching my stuff recently, but Leslie Grace and Haley Lou Richardson were in the running for it. Now, this is Leslie Grace right here. Now, if you look at this, I thought the other girl would have been a better choice to play her, Haley Lou Richardson on the left. Only reason I'm saying that is because she looks like the redheaded girl in this picture on the right here. This girl, to me, looks like Ruby Rose, who played Batwoman, which is not at all the same character. I know that that's confusing, but Batwoman and Batgirl are not the same character at all. So I don't know. It's kind of, I think that she's probably a great actress, and obviously she's gorgeous. I'm not saying anything like that she not going to look great or do good. I'm just saying, first glance, my personal opinion, I would have rathered this girl on the left, Haley Lou Richardson, to do it, just because I think she just looks more like that Batgirl that you see of Barbara Gordon, especially with the red hair. And Barbara Gordon in the comics, in my opinion, it was one of the parts about her character that was so great is that she had this softness to her that you didn't expect when she became a badass. And Leslie Grace on the right here, now don't get me wrong, she's a woman, so obviously she looks, soft, and she's great. But she looks like she looks like a badass. And one of the things I liked about Barbara Gordon's character is she looked like innocent, and you would never think that she could kick your ass until she had the suit on. Leslie Grace looks like she could kick my ass just right there. So that's my one little first image complaint. That's it. Just first glance, first off, now that she is officially Batgirl, that's just my little complaint. However, I know she's a good actress. I know that she can do well, and I'm sure she will do well. And she does have a great smile. Like I said, it has nothing to do with her not being a great actress and beautiful. It's just that I thought that the other girl, Haley Lou Richardson, looked more the part. But that never makes or breaks it. A lot of times it is based on how talented they are and how well they can play the role. And maybe this girl just nailed the audition. You never know. I mean, look, I could definitely see her in the Batgirl outfit. That's not the issue. I just don't know if I see her in this compared to Haley Lou Richardson. I just see that more. My opinion, I'm still not super stoked about a Batgirl movie. I will watch it. Obviously, it's going to be on HBO Max, but I don't know that it's because it's on HBO Max is why I'm not so excited about it. If it was coming out in the theater, then I'd be like, all right, this might be awesome. They're going to take some time and put some effort into it like they're doing the Batman movie. But going straight to HBO Max, if you look at some of the Netflix films, and Rylan and I talked about this, they have a sheen to them that just doesn't work, in my opinion. They just have I don't know. It's not that they don't work. It's just they have a polished look that takes away from whatever angle they're trying to achieve. Like the Fear Street movies, I thought would have been better if they weren't so polished looking. The third installment, the 1666, wasn't so polished, but the whole thing I thought would have been better if it wasn't so polished looking. And a lot of Netflix movies and shows have that. There's the occasional one that don't do that, but for the most part, it's like you can kind of tell it's a Netflix production. And that's what I'm worried about with the HBO Max movie. However, HBO Max has amazing original content. In fact, they're the kind of the kings of making, and again, not original content on a streaming platform, but they're the kings of like showing you that a TV show can be done in movie quality. And that's what they did with Sopranos. The Sopranos sort of started that whole trend of people being like, all right, let's just not treat TV shows like they're LA Law and sitcoms now. Let's treat them like films. And HBO does that, and they've always just knocking shows out of the park. I mean, just amazing things like True Detective, obviously Sopranos, to all the girls out there, Sex and the City, but you've got Curb Your Enthusiasm, Eastbound and Down. I mean, I could just go on. Game of Thrones. I could literally just go on. I have to stop. So with that in mind, maybe they can make this Batgirl movie good, but with DC's record in general, with Warner Brothers' record in general with DC content, I don't know. I mean, it worries me. Warner Brothers and HBO Max, I don't know if this is, they need to either, I feel like they need to hire a team from DC Comics. They need to hire a bunch of, and they have done that kind of, but it didn't work for them with like Jeff Johns. But I feel like they need to hire a bunch of writers and artists now, modern day writers and artists now. And those are the people that should be in charge of some of the film stuff. Jim Lee is in charge of a lot of the film stuff in the movies, and Jim Lee's great. But that just happened. And I'm not sure where I see that. We haven't seen a lot of his products yet. It's going to be probably another year or two before we see what, like Black Adam. I think that's more of a Jim Lee oversight, and he's not the main CEO for the DC film division, but he is sort of the creative director. And Jim Lee is an amazing artist from the comics. I mean, he's one of the most renowned in the comics of all time. Which sort of brings me to my next point. With DC going forward, can the DCEU keep up? Can they keep up with the MCU? And this is what my buddy Peter was talking to me about the other day. He's like, do you think that they can ever get there? Can they ever catch up? And I think as of right now, no. I don't think that they can catch up. I'm not saying that they won't catch up at some point, but as of right now, I don't think that they can catch up. It's too much damage done. I don't think Ben Affleck was the reason that a lot of people got tarnished on Batman, but I do think that his films are the reason they got tarnished. And I love Batman versus Superman. And I've said this in some of my other videos. I feel like Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Justice League vision should have been marketed and advertised as an adult version of Justice League and Batman and all that stuff and Superman. Don't really try to advertise it to kids so much. You could still make toys off of it. That's fine. And some kids are going to see it, but make it its own thing. That shouldn't have been the main going DCEU going forward. It should have just been sort of a wrapped up Justice League story that involved the core members that we all know. Don't try to keep expanding that. End it off with Zack Snyder's vision and what he would really wanted. And I'm not saying that you couldn't have had the Wonder Woman movie in there and stuff like that. But even then, those could have been their own trilogies off on their side, kind of like they're already doing. They don't really fit into the ongoing narrative of the DCEU. Maybe some things are mentioned, but I think if they would have done that, it would have been great. The fact that we have so much things with the Suicide Squad and now Shazam interacting, so many of them are so different and don't have a cohesive area or a cohesive thread to them that the Marvel ones, even though the MCU movies are different, even though they all, Ant-Man is totally different than Iron Man. Captain America is different than those, which is totally different than Black Panther, which all of those are totally different than Guardians of the Galaxy. They all still have a common narrative thread, and they still have something that it's a Marvel film. There's certain times with these DCEU films that you don't even know what you're watching. It gets so off on its little tangent that it's like, you guys are forgetting to connect this and make us still feel like we're in this universe. As far off and as comedic as some of these things have gotten in Marvel, you still feel like you're in that same universe. And they do like and dislike some of the Marvel films. you can at least say that they're consistent with their tone as far as making sure you know you're in the MCU when you're watching it. And the DCEU, I don't feel like you know that at all. Now, I love Batman and Superman. Batman and Superman are like some of the OG characters in the comic books. But these guys right here, the Marvel characters, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, those guys were underdogs at the time and had been for a long time. Yeah, they were some OG guys back in the day as well, but you had never had any movies made about them. You had never had any TV shows made about them. Yes, there was an Iron Man movie, a Captain America movie back in the 90s, which I own it. It's hilarious and I like it for its own reasons, but it's terrible. And yes, there was the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, which was stupid. And Thor was in an episode of The Incredible Hulk back in the day with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. But that's, again, none of that. That was just a little fun little cameo stuff. That wasn't them really diving into the characters. And those characters were back burner characters compared to Superman and Batman. And now those roles have reversed. Now the Marvel characters, all these underdog characters like Ant-Man are massive and huge. And now Spider-Man is arguably the most popular character as far as comic books are concerned in the world. I mean, he might even be the most popular fictional character in the world. Just take the comic books out of it. Just put fictional character in there. He seriously might be that popular. I know that he's dominated Batman. Now, as far as the merchandise and like people being Batman t-shirts and all that, that's a different thing. That's on its whole other like zeitgeist level. That's a part of just everything. The merchandise. And so is Spider-Man too. But Batman, I mean, you had Batmania back in the 70s and stuff like that. So all that now is literally a part of American culture in a weird way. But as far as what is hot, what people are talking about, what people want to see, what they want to read, it's Marvel and it's those characters. It's not a lot of DC stuff. Now, Suicide Squad is being marketed really well, and everybody's saying that movie's awesome. The reviews are just coming out early saying just off the charts. All the screenings have been great for it. But the reason he got hired is because of how well he did on a Marvel film with Marvel characters. And so I think that I hope that James Gunn is a sign that I hope Suicide Squad is a sign that the DCEU is going in the right direction. Because this is technically still in the DCEU, even though the Batman coming out with Robert Pattinson isn't. But I hope he's like I said, I hope that this brings it in the right direction. And I hope that Warner Brothers is like, all right, we need to do what James Gunn's doing. We need to allow our directors to be themselves. We don't need to control it and dip our hands in and out. And that was the problem with Zack Snyder's vision. Not only was it a vision that people weren't expecting because it was dark, but then the studio tried to meddle into that and hybrid it themselves into something else that wasn't dark. And it turned out to be a catastrophe. Like I said, Zack Snyder's universe, if he would have just created that in its own little bubble, made his 5, 6 films, whatever, that would have been perfect. Have it exist in its own thing while still doing your main DCEU that appeals to a bigger demographic, kids and adults together. So that's just my little thinking on that. Will Marvel and DC ever catch up? Will Disney and Warner Brothers ever be the same with their streaming platforms of HBO Max? Highly unlikely, I think. And if so, it'll be like 10 years down the road. And that'll have to be because of a lot of results of awesome films coming out and us seeing a lot of really cool stuff. But back on Suicide Squad real quick, James Gunn and John Cena and Margot Robbie were all on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and apparently they killed it. It was supposed to be like one of the better appearances they've had on there. I mean, look at Cena showing up in costume as the Peacemaker, and then James Gunn on the left there. Man, he doesn't even look like the same guy anymore with all that gray. I mean, he looks cool. He doesn't look old. It's just all gray. And I guess Anthony Mackie was there. He must have been another guest, but man, also, I tell you what, we all know that Margot Robbie is, if not already, is becoming the actress of our time. She's an amazing actress. There's nothing she can't do. She's had a couple things that I didn't care for, but for the most part, she's one of those like 95% of everything she does is gold, and that 5% is experimental and hit or miss. And every actor has that. Every musician or artist has a bad day at the office. I give them that. That's fine. But she still picks herself up and consistently comes out with something that's awesome again. So she's amazing. But man, you see her in character so much and so many different characters. Just you forget how naturally beautiful and stunning and striking she is just right there. Like looking at her to next to all these other guys, it's like, geez, girl. I mean, obviously just looking at you, you're a star. And then on top of it, you're literally, in my opinion, if not already, becoming the actress of our time. You're solid as could be. I mean, you just, like I said, nothing you can't do. Anyways, I just thought that was cool. Apparently they were having a really good time on there. You can tell that John Cena's just laughing his ass off right there, and they're laughing their ass off at him, which leads me to believe they had a good time on the movie. And anytime you have a good time on the movie and you're making a movie that was fun to make, it usually shows in the product, and we usually get a good movie because of it. Because the audience wants to relate to everybody in the film, and relating to a film means that you connect with it in some way that feels like you. And if they're having fun, I mean, we love to see people have fun on screen. If that translates through the film, I'm really stoked about it. And on top of all the reviews I've heard about Suicide Squad, I really just can't wait. Another thing with John Cena is he just came out with this trailer, came out yesterday for a movie called Vacation Friends. And I got to say, it looks hilarious. Now, John Cena and Little Rel Howery, that's a marble mouth, isn't it? Get a little marble mouth saying that. But apparently, John Cena and his wife meet Lil Rel Howery and his wife on a vacation, and they just have a crazy time of their life. And it's like Lil Rel and his wife are apparently sort of, I don't want to say goody two shoes, but they're not crazy like John Cena and his wife. And John Cena and his wife apparently are like doing drugs all the time and just doing wild stuff that's dangerous, getting in stuff, trouble with the law, but to them, it's all fun. And so it's basically like mom and dad going out with their crazy son and daughter. They meet on this vacation, and apparently all these crazy things happen, but it looks really funny to me. I'm excited about it. Didn't know anything about it, and I saw the trailer yesterday. And honestly, I think John Cena, while he looks buff and everything, and he can do action in that way, sometimes I don't buy him a lot in serious action roles. I don't believe him, but I do think he's funny, and I do think he can lend himself to comedy very well. And I mean, that's why I think he's going to work in Suicide Squad, because he's a comedic action character. So he's the peacemaker, even though he thinks he's a badass and he thinks he's real hard, and he might be in the movie. You never know, but he looks like a ridiculous, he looks like a clown. So guys, check out the trailer for this. If you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely recommend going and check it out. Like I said, I didn't know it was coming out. It was a surprise to me. It looks really funny. It's called Vacation Friends. And like I said, John Cena might have a career in comedy. Maybe so. We'll see. And now for kind of a big topic, not super big, but it is, if you're a sci-fi fan. We just got the release of the new Dune trailer today, guys. And up until now, we haven't seen it's all been really teaser-esque stuff. The images have been teaser-esque. The trailers, 2 trailers now have been teaser-esque. And this one was not. This one definitely lots of dialogue, got you into maybe what's going on. Everything looks amazing in this. I mean, I got to say, I think it's just going to be great. Denis Villeneuve is an amazing visual director. That's what he stands out in. And he also is a great storyteller, but he tells story in such a visual way that it's undeniable. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. Excuse me, wrong thing there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but this is Denis, and he's done a lot of great films. Blade Runner 2049. I don't know if you guys saw that. Now, it was like a shared starring role between Harrison and Ryan Gosling, and it was a sequel to Blade Runner, the first one. But Ridley Scott did produce this one. He didn't direct it, but Denis directed it. And it's also got Jared Leto in there. It is literally one of the most visually stunning films I've ever looked at. It's amazing. Also, he did The Arrival. I don't know if you guys saw that with Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker. Also stunningly beautiful to look at. The guy is very elegant with his films. He's very top tier. He's a little snooty with them. He's into it. He loves it. So the fact that this movie is supposed to be a two-parter, and you can already see in the background, the visuals aren't going to be like a Marvel movie where they're like in your face type stuff. This is going to be very elegantly done, kind of like Prometheus style stuff. It's really, really good stuff. I'm excited about the trailer. You get to see a lot of different things. Oscar Isaac in there, Zendaya. I love her. She's definitely got a huge future. You know, she plays Mary Jane in the Spider-Man movies. This trailer looks amazing to me, though, guys. This is definitely something to look out for. They said that this was going to be on HBO Max. I'm not sure if it's going to be on HBO Max now. Just because Denis was like, look, this movie was designed for theaters. So maybe they'll do like a first 2 weeks in theaters and then on HBO Max, but they did advertise it as being part of the slate. And I got to say, this is one that even though I have it on HBO Max, I'm going to try to get to the IMAX to see this one just because it's designed to see that way. And I want to see it that way. I'm a lover like that. I love movies like that. Yes, of course, it's a privilege to be able to watch it in your home, and I will watch it in my home, but I want to see it the way it was designed to see. And if the director's telling me that's the way he wants you to see it, that's his vision, that's the way I want to see it. And look, I don't care what movie it is. Every movie's better in the theater. Now, sometimes it sucks because you have a lot of people talking and things like that, but every movie to me is better in the theater. I don't care if it's a comedy, even if it's a rom-com, it's better in the theater. So I think that Dune is worth seeing in the theater, and we want those ticket sales to get up so we can get the part 2, because this is supposed to be a two-parter. And I think they're filming the other part now or something like that, but maybe they had to stop production because they didn't know what the release was going to be like this. But I know that this first one isn't the full story. So I think it's funny that they're just calling it Dune and not like Dune Part 1 or something like that. At least that's what they've always said, that this was just not the full story. This was only Part 1. Maybe they revised that, but I'm pretty sure this is only Part 1. But hoping the Denis can bring something good to it. There'd be nothing worse than having the Dune movie that finally deserved to be made the way it should be not be good. Because I don't know if you guys remember the one from back in the day that had like Sting in it. It's directed by David Lynch, which David Lynch doesn't even like to claim that movie. He says he's ashamed of it. I enjoy watching it for what it's worth. It's definitely not good. And it was trying to be on the coattails of Star Wars and the success of that. So it was like, oh, let's do a sci-fi epic. They just didn't know what they were doing. The pace of it isn't good. Some of the effects are just ridiculous. It's got a darkness to it that does work in some ways, but it's not a movie that it might be too old to watch now. So I'm just really hoping this nails the story of Dune, because the Dune is a classic novel that's a literary classic. People know that, have read that novel for decades now. It's not just something that was hot for a little while. It's implemented into, novel pop culture history. So there's a lot of people that are really excited about this. A lot of people that, waited their whole life to see this. I know that, I was a little kid when I watched the original one, and I definitely want to see this one. And they did do a remake on Sci-Fi that was like a 2 or 3 part miniseries, but that was a while back and just shouldn't have done it. Moving on to our last little bit of the show with some horror news. You guys know about Old coming out, huh? The new M. Night film. It's a cool little poster there. It's got the nasty little foot underneath with the regular, it looks like a young foot, an older hand, and then a skeleton foot. And the older hand's rubbing the skeleton foot. It's just a cool poster. These days, I like simplicity with posters. I don't want to show too much. I just like for your brain to be going with it. And I saw some stuff today with M. Night, and he definitely said that, of course, he's going to say this about all of his movies, but this is one of the ones that he's more excited about because he didn't write this one. Now, of course, he wrote the screenplay, but this isn't his original idea. It's based off of a graphic novel that his daughters bought for him when they were like on vacation somewhere. And he said it's a French author. And he said the story was really compelling, and it was just a small graphic novel. And I guess he expanded it into screenplay format. So it's not fully an original idea, And at the end of the day, let's face it, most of the time artists just steal from artists. They all steal their ideas of some sort and turn it into their own. But I think it's pretty cool that he found something that he liked and was able to expand it. Because I think some ideas that M. Night has come out with that super fully like his own ideas aren't always the best. And I love Sixth Sense, I love Unbreakable, all that stuff. But Signs, loved it till the ending. The ending was stupid to me. It's like you're telling me that water kills him, and I don't mean it like War of the Worlds. That made sense because the aliens had to drink and ingest the water. It was like a poison. They didn't know it was poison, and it's tasteless and all that, but then it kills them. That is viable to me. But the fact that the water just burns them like acid, it's like, what about rain? What about the dew on the grass in the morning? What that was just like, that is, to me, that was dumb. Lady in the Water, silly. The Happening was terrible. Village, stupid ending. So he has, and then let's not forget about The Last Airbender, After Earth. I mean, he's had some wacky ones that did not work. But the beauty about him is he makes all of his own movies with his own money. He funds them completely. The only thing he uses studios for is for distribution. So at that, if you're doing that, man, make whatever you want. I mean, I kind of like that he takes chances and he keeps doing whatever he wants to do and tries doing new things. And he did have a resurgence with Split and Visit. Those were awesome. And he's got that show Servant on Apple TV right now, which I haven't watched that, but apparently, I mean, it's doing all right. It's gotten greenlit for multiple seasons. But I'm excited about Old. I like the premise of going to a beach and somebody walking around the bend and then coming back around the other end and being 10 years older or something like that. Like, that's creepy. You imagine if you and your best friend are chilling out at the beach and he goes around the corner to go grab something from the ice chest that's behind a few trees or something. Then when he comes back, he's 10 years older. I mean, that'd be jacked up. That's one of the things I like about M. Night is he does horror in a very unexpected fashion to where it's almost like, is this horror? But it is. It's a horror. It's a horrific thing that you're always dealing with in an M. Night movie. And I got to say, anytime I see a trailer for an M. Night film, I'm like, I got to see that. I got to see that. He has a good way of wrapping you in with the mystery of what this twist is going to be about. And let's not forget, all of his movies have twists. So are we going to get a twist in this one? That'd be nice. Well, one more thing in some horror news, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. But Jordan Peele, the great Jordan Peele, the hilarious and classic Jordan Peele, has just released a poster for Nope. Now, excuse me. This is the top of the poster, and he's very obscure with his stuff, obviously, like he's been with the other things. But Us, all right, not that good of a movie. I'll go ahead and say it. Us was not that good of a movie. Was it interesting? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed all the kill scenes. I even was having a good time with it up until about the last 20 minutes. And up until about the last 20 minutes, it was just too much. It was like, you're asking me to believe a lot here. There was way too many holes. The whole Hands Across America thing, I just didn't get it. Now this one, Get Out, total different story. 100% the other way. I thought this was phenomenal. I saw this movie when it wasn't known. I saw this movie when people didn't know anything about it. And I was like, oh, Jordan Peele's making a horror film? Well, I got to see that. And I was blown away. I thought it was an excellent premise. I thought it was as original could be. I had never even thought about that. And it is scary to think about. And the real issues that it was touching on. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was intelligent. It was relevant to the time. And it was surprisingly good by a comedian up to that point, written and directed. So good for you, man. Like I said, Us went the other way. By the time I saw the ending, about the last 20 minutes of it, it just lost me. And I was kind of like, I thought it was stupid. But this is his new one, Nope. And now what's going on here? There's like a little city there. And there's a balloon going up into a balloon string, or not a balloon string, like a banner string, like out in front of a used car lot sale or something, going up into the sky. Now, Daniel Kaluuya, who was in Get Out, he's going to be in it. Stephen Yen's going to be in it. And then Keke Palmer, which I love Keke Palmer. She is awesome. She was, I think that she was in Coming to America too. I've always had a crush on her. But anyways, I'm excited about this. Not sure what this is going to be about. And get a closer up look about that cloud with that little banner thing coming out of it near the mountains. Definitely raises some eyebrows of like, what is this going to be? And no clue whatsoever. But I like that about his movies. You don't really know what's up. And one of the things I did find fun about going to see Us is there was a lot of mystery to it. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, what is going on? So I had fun with the movie until the ending. I just hated the ending. I hated the last 20 minutes. Get Out, though, loved it the whole way through. It exceedingly got better and better and better. And I just hope this movie, Nope, is going to be all right. Like I said, it's Jordan Peele's newest one. And this is all we know about it. I don't know anything else. We just know it's called Nope. And we see this picture in this image and we just know who's in it. So, Jordan, I hope you can do it, buddy. I hope you had a little bit of a misfire with Us and then you knock it out of the park with this third one. I hope third time's a charm for you. I mean, I pray that because I never want anybody to make a bad movie. I want it to be up there at least as good as Get Out. So I'm excited, and we'll know a little more when we see the trailer. Well, that'll do it for this episode, guys, and this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit the like button if you enjoyed watching it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, so you can help us make it to the top. I think I'm going to take a break tomorrow. I think I'm going to do Monday through Thursday now. And it's going to be, I think I'm going to try to do it noon every Monday through Thursday. Take a break tomorrow from this, but I am going to be putting a review out tomorrow or Saturday, like my old school reviews, the ones, and I'm not stopping doing those, but the edited style and all that. So love y'all with all my heart, guys. I hope y'all have a great weekend. And we'll catch you on Monday. Peace.